Why is eBay so slow right now? There are a million different answers floating around. From inflation, it's the economy. Maybe the eBay algorithm just doesn't like you anymore. So which one is it? I'm going to dive into the data and compare eBay to other e-commerce platforms and take a look at US consumer spending over this last year to see exactly why our eBay sales are so slow. The first big question that I want to answer is, are consumers actually spending less on the goods that they would normally buy on eBay? And the answer to that question is actually no. So if you take a look at this chart right here, the far left blue bar shows personal consumption expenditures. This is basically any money that consumers are spending, and it shows the change from the previous month. So it's positive in every single month from April to August, which tells us that consumers are spending more and more every single month. Now, this includes all expenses, gas, groceries, rent, everything like that. And I think it would be a better measure to take out volatile expenses like food and energy. So the green bar in the middle shows all personal consumption expenditures minus food and energy. And you can still see it is up every single month, month over month. And I put inflation on here as the gray bar just so we have something to compare it to. Inflation is outpacing, or at least coming close to outpacing, consumer expenditures. So while consumers are spending more money every month, inflation is also going up every month. So people aren't actually buying more goods and services, they're just spending more to buy the goods and services that they're already buying. But the bottom line here is that consumer spending has been going up every month, even after you take out volatile categories like food and energy. So all else being equal, gross sales on eBay should also be going up every month. Which leads me to my second big question that we need to answer. Are eBay sales actually down? The answer to that is also surprisingly no. This chart shows the quarterly change in eBay revenue compared to the previous quarter. I left the first quarter of 2021 on here, on this first graph at least, just so you could see I wasn't shaving the numbers and cutting off the quarter. That is right after COVID and when people got another stimulus check, and the 21% change quarter to quarter isn't representative of what we normally expect for eBay. So I'm just going to go ahead and chop that off and start in the second quarter of 2021. You can see 2021 was up and down, second and fourth quarter good, but third quarter was down significantly. And 2022 was actually a really bad year for eBay sales. The first, second, and third quarter were all down. It's only in the fourth quarter where we saw a quarter over quarter increase in revenue. And you'd normally expect to see that in the fourth quarter due to holiday shopping and consumers buying more in general. So that's not a big surprise. But 2023 is where we see the huge surprise. The first quarter of 2023 actually did not see an increase or decrease in revenue. Revenue stayed flat, but that is huge. That means that after this holiday season of 2022, people did not slow down spending money, and they kept spending the same amount of money on eBay. And the second quarter of 2023 actually saw an increase in revenue. So people were spending even more in the second quarter of 2023, which is just awesome news as eBay sellers. I don't yet have data for the third quarter, but I imagine that the fourth quarter will be positive, so we could either get 3 positive quarters this year or 4 quarters of positive revenue growth for eBay, which is awesome as sellers and what we should all be hoping for. So why do eBay sales feel so slow if sales are great and the platform is doing well? Well, the data shows that consumers are still spending money, and they are still spending money on eBay. But how does eBay stack up to other e-commerce platforms? I'm going to show you that data as well. Since the beginning of 2022, eBay revenue is up 2.3%, while Etsy is up 8.6% and Mercari is down 2.9%. And this graph right here shows the quarterly change in revenue, just like the earlier one, except it starts in the first quarter of 2022. So we can really zero in there. You can see Etsy does extremely well around the holidays, while eBay revenue is much less volatile from quarter to quarter than both Mercari and Etsy. But eBay is right in the middle there with Mercari and Etsy. It's not an outlier, and sales are what you'd expect, and it's performing well as compared to its competitors. One note here, I didn't put Poshmark on here because I couldn't find any data on Posh, and I did not put data for Amazon on here because I figured that Amazon is an outlier and they should not be compared to sites like eBay. So blaming the economy or inflation for your sales is not helpful for you at all, and it's just not true, as the data shows. But there are some actions that you can take to improve your own sales, because I know a lot of people have been feeling like their sales have gotten slower and the eBay has been dead for them. So the number one thing you can do is source better quality items. If shoppers aren't buying what you're selling, maybe you're not selling the right thing. So don't be afraid to mix it up, source from new places, or try selling new things, explore different categories. eBay is constantly evolving and changing, and what buyers are looking for is constantly evolving and changing. So if what you're doing isn't working, you might need to mix it up. Number 2 factor, you need to list more frequently. If your sales are slow, have you been listing a lot recently? Probably the biggest reason sales slow down for any seller is because they aren't listing enough new inventory. If you list like a maniac, I can almost guarantee you that your sales will improve. And number 3, promote your listings on eBay. Nobody likes to give eBay extra money every month. I get it. We shouldn't even have to do it. But to be seen on eBay, in many cases, you do need to promote your items. I suggest starting at 2%, and if that's working well, just leave it at that. If it's not, bump it up another % or 2, but I personally would not pay any attention to eBay's recommended ad rates as they seem extraordinarily high. But please check out my full video about promoted listings. I'll link it down in the description below for info about how I do promoted listings, when to promote, and what rate you should set. Number 4 factor to improve your sales is to price your items competitively. So many sellers overlook this one, but it's probably the single biggest deciding factor in whether or not a buyer is going to purchase your item. You don't need to have the lowest price on eBay to sell, but you do need to competitively price your items compared to others. If you're selling something that has many different competitors, you might need to lower your price to get it sold. Or if you don't have any competitors or very few, you might be able to set a higher starting price. If you do know that your sales are in line with other sellers and you're still experiencing slow sales, try starting a coupon or a markdown to boost sales, or even further reducing your prices. Are your sales on eBay up or down? What are you experiencing right now on eBay? Please let me know in the comments, and thank you so much for watching this video.